Welcome to Archangel Revelations and Prophecies 444. I am Gat, your host. This will be a Twin Flames Natal Charts analysis. Again, this will be a Twin Flames Natal Charts analysis. We will keep an eye on the signs of Gemini and Leo, as that has something to do with a couple of other people in regard to these two people, this couple. All right. As you can see, the person on the left requested this reading. That would be the female, and the male is on the right. And as you can see, she has a lot of activity on the left side of her chart. His is similar, it's just that it's more lower. But if you were to turn his chart in the direction of 3 p.m., it would also have a lot of activity almost the same way. The first thing I noticed about his chart was sun sign Scorpio with Pluto there in the first house. Oh no, that's the second house. But he's got a lot of 22s. 22 is the 1111, and 22 is also the twin flames number. Then I see a 33 at Saturn. So he's either associated with secret knowledge, hidden knowledge, for forbidden knowledge, not knowledge that's known to the masses, so to say. He may even be associated with a Freemasonry or some form of masonry, some form of mystery system. But we'll talk about that more when we do his chart. Alright, so she is a Libra. And she has a lot of activity. So you see her 22 at Juno, 22 degrees 222. She's definitely Juno, that asteroid that looks like an asterisk star. And that's in your first house. Your first house is ruled by Aries. Juno is all about relationships, marriage. And then when you have Libra there, Libra is also about partnerships, relationships, contracts, balancing out fairness, harmony, peace. She has a mediator type personality. She might be about law, social issues, being fair. But she would definitely want a serious relationship. Whenever you see Juno and Saturn together, this is a person who Juno's like the person that wants to be married, and Saturn's like the father with the shotgun to make sure it happens. The ascendant, the AC, is where when the moment the sun went over the horizon at your birth, that's your ascendant. A lot of people say the first house is the ascendant. That's not true. Sometimes your ascendant is not in your first house. So you have to be very careful with that. But in your case, your first house is the ascendant. The east point is where the sun was at over the ecliptic when you were born. And you have Lilith at 15. 15. And 15 is 555. And you have 777s with the 21s. I see 18s with 666. So you deal with a lot of triplets, numerology energy. Like the angel numbers 444. Alright, give me a moment. I'm just looking around. Alright, now the reason why I'm reading this is because of the lot of triple digits on her natal chart. So, and I do teach this. This is crystallinks.com. And it's talking about double digits numbers, but like 911, 11-9, she says that's what you call on, off, off, on, or on, off binary numbers. So she says reality is a computer generated consciousness hologram, and that's what they teach in the Matrix, and that's what Sherry Shriner, not Sherry, Sophia Stewart tends to teach as well. We exist in a virtual reality environment and linear time to experience emotions. Computers use binary code, digital codes that repeat over and over, circuit open and circuit closed. And anybody that's ever got a download, they know they've seen that. They've seen a download going right into their mind. A blinking effect, as all goes back to the eye lens. The eye, or what is it, like the lens. And she says this is why you'll see 1010 featured on most clock images. This is still crystallinks.com. Triple numbers give even more power than double digits, and they take these numbers to higher octaves. She says add the numbers together to get one number, and it's greater meaning. She said they will all equal either 3, 6, or 9. 2, 2, 2, 2, duality, polarity. Reality is created by an electromagnetic energy grid. 223 equals 6, the flower of life. 333 represents a higher octave, 9. 444 represents a higher octave of 3. Five 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 equals 15 equals 6. 666 equals 18 equals 9, which equals closure. Seven 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 represents a higher octave of 3. 88 represents a higher octave of 6. Okay, so like we said, Saturn conjuncting Juno is someone looking for a serious relationship, and they're extra serious about it because a Libra, and with them, fairness is a big deal. They don't want to be in a relationship where they seem to be given more, while this person is kind of not appreciating them in all they do. Now that moon is so close, but it's in the 12th house, so we're not going to talk about it now, but it's so close to that first house. But yeah, so we'll look at part of fortune and Libra. Now part of fortune is that circle. Well, she knows a little bit about astrology, but just to make sure, part of fortune is that circle with the X. So with part of fortune in your first house, you were born at or just about a new moon. So your moon sign was around the time of a new moon. I believe your moon sign. Let's look at it. Your moon sign is Virgo. So that was around a new moon, kind of like a new beginning. So they're kind of implying you would have a new moon personality. Very individual way of meeting like circumstances and situation. But your unique way could make you a profit if you know how to market it or promote it. And this person wants to stand out in their own way. And they have charm and human magnetism. Okay, so your first house is also your sun sign. So your sun sign is also your rising sign. So part of fortune in the sun. Just remember the ascendant and the moon and the sun combined to show where the avenue to happiness, success, and sheer joy is located. We look to the houses, we look to the signs, and now we look to the planet to tell us more. When the sun is conjunct the part of fortune, the person can shine with his whole being in response to the solar illumination. All right. So now you want the part of fortune in Leo, the part of fortune in Libra. Card of Fortune and Libra. This person deals with beauty, balance, fairness, and justice. So they're always going to seek happiness in relationships such as marriage or partnerships. Being Libra, she likes that partnership, some type of relationship. All right. Lilith in the first house and Lilith in Libra. Now, when I do this, because I know this person was asking a lot of questions, but I try to do that anyway. I try to do a thorough, I try to do what I call all-inclusive natal chart reading whenever I do readings. Because you'll have some people that say, oh, I just wanted to know if we're twins. Oh, I just wanted to know. But time will go on and they may want more information. So I make sure I just give it to them now. You know, whenever they want to go back to it, they'll have the information. So like I said, it is all inclusive. We will cover everything. We try never to rush, because when you rush, you miss things. So we want Lilith and Libra. At 15:15. Lilith and Libra in the first house wants to be fair, diplomatic, and have harmony. But they said because of Lilith, you're going to battle between autonomy, which is independence, and you want a partnership. You are of wisdom and intuition, as well as psychological ability and music love. But you may not have knowledge about it all. You wish to receive emotional life loyalty, and because of this housing arrangement, you are looking for a life partner, a long-term partner. And you want to be accepted emotionally. You may have very high requirements and partnerships. Now they're saying that because of Lilith, but I was going to kind of say that because of Saturn. Saturn kind of wants to keep everything in a situation so Saturn can oversee it. But the real world doesn't always work like that. In fact, that type of energy could actually break things up. Probably you have very high requirements and partnerships and wish well working into personal relationships to yourself. All right. Now you want Lilith in the first house. And again, the first house is your mask or how the world sees you. So yeah, Lilith in the first house is gonna be. They want liberalism, and fairness. Even if even if Libra wasn't there, that's what Lilith in the first house is. Liberalism and fairness. But with June there, it makes it even more intense. You have ingenuity and form all over with energy and relations. Partnerships and public reference interests. With sexual adventures, you can get enticed easily, and if someone offers a leading role to you, you take it without thinking. In this position, there's a tendency to come into problematic situations repeatedly, and also to understand the life worthy only as a kind of non-stop action. So it kind of says, I'm going to read it again because I'm basically they're saying, but you gotta make it wider. What I'm about to say, you gotta make it. Don't just limit it to sex. But they're basically saying, if you give them milk, they're not gonna buy the cow. So what they're basically saying is this person, because they want a partnership so bad, they'll readily almost give their partner whatever they want. Because Libras like that. Libras don't want no static. and they'll compromise real easy. But sometimes you can't. Like me being on this planet for a while, I found that out. Because you think, oh, I'm gonna go in, I'm gonna work hard, I'm gonna help everybody work. Oh, everything will be fine because I help. And you would go the distance thinking that's gonna solve all the problems, but it doesn't. It actually creates more problems. So sometimes you do have to go in and get it perfectly clear. What's your assignment? What are you responsible for? And stuff like that, so that they just know that they can't just depend on you to do everything. Cause like I said, they're not gonna buy the cow if they already got the milk. In most cases, there's a few exceptions, but in most cases. So that's what Lilith has to learn in the first house. Yeah, this is a relationship, but still make sure you're both giving equally, because that's what Libra is all about. Make sure you're both giving equally to each other and to the relationship. Okay, that's your first house. Yeah, now looking at the second house. Your second house is finances, possessions, and how you value things. And that is ruled over by Taurus. The first house is ruled over by Aries. All right. So you may be into like technologies and even alternative medicine, alternative health, because Uranus can represent Aquarius as well, but it's really out of the box type stuff. Alternative, not the common medical practices or the common medicines, but different forms of healing and sciences. And you may find finances and possessions in that. All right. And because, like, yeah, this person probably uses like advanced or unique methods of communication. Like, this person could even use the internet for eighth house, because the Scorpio is eighth house, for eighth house related things, and that may be how they get their income, because the second house is ruled by Taurus, but it's about value system, your value system, possessions, and how you value things. And that's why some of us you see many people using the internet for such means. But now Scorpio is about doubt. They tend to doubt a lot until they get to know you. Once you prove yourself to them, they can be very loyal. But they tend to be they tend to doubt. And anything with Scorpio, even Pluto is the eighth house, and that's all about power. So there can be power struggles, transformation. a lot of secrets, high sexuality, a lot of volatile energy. Oh, another thing about Libra, Libra can also refer to legal matters or the law. And a lot of times when you see Saturn in the same house with Libra, it could refer to some type of legal situation. So now we'll read about the eighth house. Now again, Mercury, that's planet Mercury in your second house. EP is on a border, but we're gonna keep EP in your first house. That's your east point. But it is on a border of both houses. Then you have Mercury. Mercury is gonna be all about communications, thought, intellect, intelligence. So that's why I said this person may make money speaking about eighth house matters or even research. So all that's got to do with Mercury. And then with that technology, or Uranus can be rebellious, and Uranus may even want his freedom. She doesn't mind standardized in a relationship because there's Saturn in the first house. But when it comes to like the financial aspect, especially this eighth house matter, because the eighth house is all about finances and share resources. Just so you know that your second house is about other people's money, and your eighth house is about shared resources, like sharing or inheritances. But you have it like your Taurus. It's funny. It's like almost saying, like when somebody says, "My money is your money is my money, and my money is my money." That's what your chart is saying. Because Taurus rules the second house, and that's your money. And Scorpio rules the eighth house. That's shared resources or other people's resources as well. But you have your Taurus is in the eighth house. So it's like she says, hey, when it comes to relationship, hey, I want everything's right down the middle. Come on, everything. But when it comes to that money, my money's my money, your money's my money. So we're gonna look at that. But first, let's talk about what's in the eighth house. Now, because I didn't say it, but when you get a natal chart, the best thing you do is take notes. Listen, just like if you were in a classroom. That's why I designed it this way. What I noticed though, a lot of people want to talk. And in my experience, first it's the same voice and I want to say the same thing. But you can learn it. It's like when somebody thinks that they got a cold but they really don't have a cold. It's kind of like that. It's like because what it is, it's big is much different on a telephone. Now, if somebody really has questions, there's a difference between saying, "Oh, I don't want to hear a video. I want to talk." Okay, but that's kind of hard to explain because you see how long my twin flame natal charts go. That's kind of hard to do on the phone. It could be done, but it's not going to be for the price I do with this, because I can do it this way with a lower price. Because I was trying to get the information out to as many people that wanted it for a reasonable price. But on a phone, you just can't do that because it's too much time where my attention is only in one area. Whereas when I'm doing charts, I can multitask. Because once I get shut down for multitask, everything stops. And I have too much responsibilities. So that's why it wouldn't be like for low. Like it's not gonna be a phone call for the price of a natal chart. It has to be a realistic price, and it has to be charged by rate. So that's why I say when you study it, you learn it because it is your chart. When you study it, you take notes. Just like anything else, you learn it. If you still want to ask questions, but then it won't be as long when you ask the questions by phone because you'll have a better understanding. But if you want somebody to teach you a natal chart, then that gets a little bit more expensive because that's like way, way different than someone doing a video like I do. So that's why I do it that way. So what we're going to do now, and that's why I tell everybody, make sure you take the notes. We're going to do the Scorpio. Yeah, the 8th house. Because Scorpio rules the 8th house. So that this is why we're doing your 8th house. Because your 8th house is in your 2nd house of possessions, finances, and your value system. So it's all about things in the 8th house. Now, also, another reason to take notes, especially with twin flames natal charts, because once I explain it, once I explain everything, like what's in the 1st house and all that, I'm not going to repeat all of it again in the 2nd house, because again, this would be like a 16-hour video. So you do have that information. We go over the 2nd. Don't get me wrong. We go over the 2nd house, but we're not gonna say, oh, the 1st house is in the 2nd house, because we already did that. So if we've already discussed it, we wouldn't do it again. Because I think if people just think a little bit more, because I understand people are excited and they want to know, but if you just think a little bit more, that would be extremely expensive to do it that way. Telephone, that would be extremely, to explain a natal chart on the telephone, that'd be very, it could be doable, but the point is it would be expensive. It's not going to be like $20, $30. It can't be. Because I'm already losing money doing it this way, but I would really be losing money because I'm being stopped by multitasking. And I get a lot done with multitasking. It's kind of like, look at it like this. If you do business in a neighborhood, right, but you're free to go throughout that whole neighborhood. So what you can get done in an hour is not like somebody saying, okay, I just want you to come here and stand right and do this. Because you're not really getting anything in that 1 hour because you're only in that one location. So that's the best I can explain it. All right. Now, we're doing the 8th house. The 8th house is ruled by Scorpio, and that's ruled by Pluto. So we're going to start right there. So yeah, your Pluto, let's go back to your Pluto at 21, because your Pluto is in Libra in the 1st house. So again, see, this is like a soul. This is why it's very important to understand your 1st and 2nd house, especially. And it is ironically, most of your planets and asteroids are on the side of the chart anyway, because it's going to be a soul relationship, no doubt, and it's going to be a soul family relationship, which we will talk about. So you got a lot of number 26s as well. 2 6s and 6 6. So all these can also be like lucky numbers, just so you know. So because of your Pluto and Scorpio arrangement, your finances are kind of tied into your 1st house as well with the with Libra. So let's do Pluto and Libra. Okay, this is myastrologybook.com. Okay, so this makes sense to me. Your Pluto and Ludo, it makes total sense. Because like I said, when on your chart you can see it, and but that is totally eighth house though. But you're like trying to reverse, and it's funny because I can kind of see that in your personality. Like you're trying to reverse like what it is, like what it is. You're trying to say, hey, what about this? What about this? Well, hey, let me. And I'm looking at her like, wow. So I'm gonna read it, and then I'm gonna show it to you. Souls born during this time, Pluto and Libra, they have to learn how to relate to others as equals. So it's not just relate to others as equals because that's why you got the Libra. So that's your lesson. That's one of your lessons in this life. But you also have to be considerate. And I'm not saying in a bad way because we all got stuff to work on. But you have to be considerate of everything. It can't just be, wow, what's this? I want this. I have it. Hey, we could do it this way and blah, blah, blah. So that's why I said in your second and eighth house, like your money can be your money, but you can't say someone else's money is your money. You can't try to manipulate it. And you may say, well, I don't do that. But if you go wider, you're doing it somewhere. Because that's the whole purpose of getting your natal chart. You want to just know. It's not saying, oh, look at you. Because we all got stuff to work on. But if you don't work on it, because I had a person, they were a friend of mine. I talked to this person on the phone, through emails and everything. But they just always projected everything somebody else's way. And they never took responsibility. And so they were beginning to hold me back because I really want this. I really want to know. I'm working on my natal chart. I got everything written out. I got to go back over it, start to really learn it really well. So I really want it. But they were the type that oh no, I just want to know this. Oh no, I don't want to know that. Blah blah blah. Oh, that's not true. And I knew the person, so yeah, it was true because I see it. But not to say it in an accusatory way, but they argued with everything. Everything that was addressed to them, they wanted to argue every point, and it got to be really frustrating. So I couldn't even deal with it anymore at all. Because I've worked too hard in my life to do what I do. Nobody's going to make me change what the universe is saying. If that's what's on the chart. Some of these charts, it applies to you. Sometimes it doesn't. But when you listen to the readers on YouTube, all the astrologers and card readers, they say one simple thing. If it doesn't resonate with you, move on. Or move to someone who you resonate with. Because you have a lot of people out here who want to argue and all that. And that's why I said it has to be done orderly. It can't just be, hey, what about this? And, hey, let me talk to you just for a second. And, oh, no, we don't do that. It has to be orderly. And then we can move on. And if a person's really seriously, they'll benefit by it. But if they're not really that serious, they're just jumping around and trying to figure stuff out, then it's only so much we can do. So they're advising you. Now, again, this is myastrologybook.com, Pluto and Libra. By listening to how reality exists for another person, one becomes able to give that individual what he or she truly needs. So you gotta listen. It's gotta be consideration. Has to be. Number one rule. Don't push your will on anything. I mean, even if you're right, there's still a way to go about things. But you don't want to be in the habit of trying to run over top of somebody. And that's what Scorpio does a lot. Scorpio and Pluto are both about power. Power and just taking over and aggression. And they do a lot of other stuff too. Pluto can be very transforming, very deep, very even expansive to a certain degree. So they say sometimes change and inner growth come through intense partnerships. So you have to examine your motivations, both conscious and unconscious, with aspects to relating. And they said you may also have a potentially revolutionary idea about law and justice. And I told you that. That's what Uranus is in your second house, but Uranus is like revolutionary. And it'll revolutionize. And then I told you your Libra could also mean law or something legal, or the justice system, or social issues. And they said Pluto and Libra, this person can be really, really innovative and helping in those areas. All right. So now we got a pretty good idea what's going on here. Because for me, it was frustrating to see that person have so much energy to want to debate everything and argue about everything. And they were wrong on the points. I could see if they were right, but I mean, they were just wrong. Like, if I'm wrong, people will listen to me. I'll say I have no problem with it. Like, just move on. That's life. Nobody's going to know everything. So when you're doing a natal chart, the best thing to do is try to find out what it's really saying and try to bring your life in harmony with it. And if you really feel it doesn't apply to you, then again, skip it. Because it's 7 billion people on the planet. But the wanting to just argue or whatever, that's not going to help anybody. And like, I know I've seen it, so I already know. I try not to fall back. I try to move forward. Or if I do fall back, I take responsibility for my actions and get up and keep going. All right. Now we're moving on. Now we're back to Pluto. So now we know a little bit more about Pluto. All right, what is this? What's going on? Okay. So the 8th house is ruled by Scorpio, which is ruled by Pluto. Now Scorpio deals with secrets, mysteries, esoteric knowledge, forbidden knowledge. And really listen up, because this is going to be your twin as well. Hidden knowledge, obsessions, addictions, power struggles, abuse, greed, lust, compulsive behavior, stalking, intense watery emotions, arguments, debates, tauntings, revenge, intensity, psychic abilities, great transformation, high sexuality, doubt, debt, taxes, IRS, legal matters, court, law breaking, shared resources, inheritance, finances, business, karma, other people's money, the soul, reincarnation, afterlife, birth, death, resurrection, rebirth, regeneration, rejuvenation, animalistic behaviors, freaky, down and dirty behaviors, psychological situations, studies, research, knowledge, forbidden knowledge, hidden knowledge, investigations, investigators, managers, addictions, drugs, alcoholism, other worlds, creepy crawlies, other dimensions, science, higher sciences, holistic healings, spiritual healings, alternative medicine, alchemy, metaphysics, sacred geometry, things that are forbidden, taboo, astrology, knowledge, hidden knowledge, aliens, higher life, astral planning, telekinesis, telepathy, dreams, interpretations, animals, enemies, Halloween, the divine womb, deities, tarot cards, higher thoughts, inheritances, loans, banking, animals, pregnancy, women's body, karma, business, finance. The 8th house rules other people's money and transformations. Other people's money can mean debt, taxes, inheritances, joint finances by a spouse or a partner, loans. The 8th house is on the axis of the 2nd house and is an axis of money. The 2nd house is your money. The 8th house is other people's money. Transformation can be mental, emotional, physically. It can be sex, start of life, pregnancy, process of life, and major transformation to a woman's body, and death, both literally and or figuratively. the more serious side of life and deep thought are very 8th house. The 8th house also tends to be misunderstood a bit and is seen as depressing. The 8th house is one of the 3 relationship houses. 5th house is the relationship of love. 7th house is a relationship of commitment, and your 1st house will be like your 7th house because Libra is there, and Libra rules the 7th house. The 8th house is sex. So here you have sex, relationships, money, and how you value and how you view resources. And you were given a little bit of advice on how to make it work as a relationship. That is one of your lessons. That's why Libra's in your ascension. See, so because Mercury is there, these are the things you'll be talking about. Everything I just read in the 8th house, these are things you will be talking about. So it kind of implies you may do that. That's how you make your income, or one way you make income at least. And then when I look at your 10th house, which is the career sector and reputation, you see the family. Cancer is the family sign. So it could even be like a family business. Now remember, even if you're doing something by yourself and making money, that's still kind of considered a family business because you are your family. You're one aspect, one member of your family is you. So that's kind of the impression it's given here. And you're very revolutionary in the 1st house with Pluto and Libra, but you're also very revolutionary in the 2nd house with Uranus and Scorpio. And that's why I said that type of person will be like that. Hey, no, what about this? No, let's do it this way. No, maybe we could try this out. I don't know. Let's try. And there's nothing, like I said, there's nothing really wrong with that. Some people are different. Like I've been doing this a long time, and I just know. But everybody's different. Everybody goes at their own pace. Every different personalities. All right, so let's go to the Uranus. Wow, see, I just saw Mars. See that's even more. See, they really wrote your chart out. See, I can see it. When I say they, I'm talking about the people that really put all this together. If you look where your Uranus is, and then look where your Saturn is, see, they're making a point. It might even be a learning lesson, which it probably is. I'm gonna try to show it to you, but I'm just trying to show you. See, you may have been in this. This is why all your stuff is on one side of your chart. You may have been in such a situation, or maybe you're still there. I don't know, but you're kind of like got all that eighth house stuff going on, and see, Mars used to rule Scorpio, so there's always going to be Mars energy, Aries energy with Scorpio. It can be very aggressive, very power struggle, ambitious. I'll run over you. Bam, Uranus, I'm in your face. Let's get it done my way. And boom, boom, boom. If somebody's talking, you're not really listening, and blah, 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 blah. So then they give you a partner, because that's the only way that's going to stop a person. It has to be somebody they care about. So then they make you care about partnership in a relationship. So if you notice, you're going from Uranus, who's like a rebel and a revolutionary, to Saturn, what is saying, oh, calm down and let's regulate, because Uranus is like, I ain't regulating nothing. You understand? So it's like a progression between the 2 houses. And I know the time periods, not just 2 houses, they're time periods. And they do it with the sun and the moon as well. Because the sun is going to be more like, wow, energy, let's go. And the moon is more like intimate and let's talk, you know. And then even your Mars is like just a lot of energy. It could be combative energy. And in your case, I'm kind of thinking that it is because of that Uranus and Scorpio. These are powerhouses as far as energy in your face. And so you're that way, but they're going to take you all the way from that to look where Venus is at. And then you're talking about Leo. It goes right into that true north node of Leo. And then you got the 1818 as well as the 5 to 55. All right. So all universe means in Scorpio is all that stuff I read for the 8th house. That means you're an innovator. Like you're an innovator in those areas. You might use high technology because that's what Uranus does with Aquarius. They use high, but you can find innovative ways to make money off of that stuff in the 8th house. Everything I read, you know, whatever's there, either or. Even if it's one or two or all or most or some, it's all 8th house. But you're more concerned really with Uranus and Mars, because that is we'll see what the net says. Before I say it, we'll let the net say it first. All right, it's kind of funny because she gave me a birth date and she said it was Leo, but it's really I looked it up. It's really Virgo. But anyway, she was off with it. She wasn't just off with the date. She is off with the month. But the good news is it's still Virgo. Because 919 is still Virgo. But I'm going to double check. Yep. All right. So let me see. Oh, no. Okay, so let's do it again. So now I know what she's saying. It is Virgo, not Leo. All right. So she was right about the sign, but just the date. Okay. All right. Give me a moment. All right. So now we're going to do Uranus and Mars. No, I don't mean to say that. I don't mean Uranus and Mars. I mean Uranus conjunct Mars. Good. It's myastrologybook.com. And like I said, don't get me wrong, because sometimes people, they make good careers off of being that way. I just think when it comes to astrology or something dealing with spirit, you know, you wouldn't act the same way at say a country dance. Like you wouldn't go up in a country hall dancing like hip hop and it's two different things. So when you're dealing with the universe and the spirit, it's got to be a different approach. You can't come in with like the ego and the lower energies. And when I say ego, I don't mean somebody has a big ego, but everything is ego in third dimension. Everything is like you're looking at life from what about me, or how am I gonna get this done? That's third dimension. As you get higher, like when you're dealing with your natal chart, and when you're dealing with spirit, it's higher frequency, higher vibrations. Now, in case I didn't say this, any twin flame person, twin soul, soulmate, if you like, you need to listen to the video Stages of Twin Flames by DNA Awakening, because they tell you how it's going to be. Most twin flamers are going to suffer. They're going to go through that. You're going to have to go through it. Because I get a lot of people that don't want to hear nothing about. They just worry about, is it my twin? When will I be together? And blah blah. it's a long process. Now there may be a few twin flames out there that really get along really good and really love each other and all that, but most of us are going through a healing and pain and all kind of stuff. So that's why you want to know as much about it as you can. Now there's another video that I strongly suggest people watch too, because it's dealing with twin flames. Is all about reincarnation and past life. All right, it's called Traits of Syrian Souls. Sirian. Traits of Syrian Souls. The YouTube channel is called Higher Self. The video is 1 year old, 1 year ago. Now, today's date is November 26, 2017. So 1 year ago. It's got a blue-faced lady looking at you, like the Avatar face or something. But it was excellent on why your twin may act the way they do and everything else. So this is stuff you want to try to understand, because it's not just going to be, why isn't it this way and why can't they, or why are they making it so difficult? You really have to understand this stuff. This is universal stuff. That's why I said you can't come into this realm with a third dimensional mentality, because it's not going to work. Okay, for Uranus and Mars, you have great vitality and healing power if you choose to use it. But your energy ebbs and flows and tends to be erratic, possibly with sudden explosion in the area of your life symbolized by the house position of this conjunction. So again, they're saying in the second house, you might really have issues with money. And that would be an issue if somebody's saying my money is my money and your money is my money. Say, wait a minute. So they're saying you got to be very careful of that Mars-Uranus connection, because you may blow up over finances or possessions or whatever you value. Like some people's shoes. You might highly value shoes, and the dog might chew it up or something. You want to beat the crap out of the dog or anything. Curse the kids out because they were running through the house and knocked over your shoe. Whatever you value. So that's what they're trying to show you in your second house. So you're the type of person, they say, that is a law unto yourself. You create your own rules and pursue alternative and non-conformist solutions to life with great energy and freedom. Your temper is hot and sharp and tends to snap out like a lightning bolt. The hot-headed and unstable traits are insinuated in Aries, Gemini, Leo, Sagittarius, and Aquarius. So we know we have the Gemini for the husband, and then we have the well, we don't have anything else. I was going to say the Virgo, but it didn't say Virgo. Okay, as a member of society, however, your utter willingness and need to be free can get you in trouble. That's what I was saying. You gotta know when to do certain things and when not to. If you don't learn to compromise and to play by society's rules, you will be limited in your relationship and eventually isolated or even incarcerated. Yeah, because that is the 8th house. The 8th house can mean incarceration. And so can Libra. Especially, like when you see somebody with Saturn and Libra, they probably did a little jail time. Not always, but they probably did a little jail time. Because that's law, and that's law, and then Saturn is the administrator of law, like the judge or the who's ever arrests you. And Saturn is the law. I mean, Libra is the law. Saturn is the administrator of that law, who's going to lock you up. You are aggressive in the pursuit of gaining insight into all that is new, different, and out of the ordinary. And I see that. And that's good. You should be eager. See, I'm not saying don't be eager, but now you got to learn how to slow down so you can learn. Because if you know how many people come running to me and they think this is going to be overnight, it's not. You got to learn how to breathe and relax and let the archangels in. Let spirit in. You're direct, blunt, and intolerant of hypocrisy. You need to pay more attention to your intuition. Children and young people with this conjunction are hard to control and very unpredictable, because that's how Uranus is. You never know. And the air signs, this indicates revolution or anarchist tendencies for some. So air signs, Aquarius. I think Libra's an air sign. What is it? Aries? Well, not Aries, not Aries. Aquarius, Libra, and Gemini, right? All right. Give me one moment. Libra, Aquarius, and Gemini. Yep. Strong intellectual connection with the world. They love to analyze and solve problems. And they and the ones they care about face. They love to solve problems for themselves and the people they care about. They try to be just and fair. Okay, I gotta let her know I updated it because I don't want her to think I didn't get an email. Give me 1 second. All right. So that's the first house and the second house. Now let's see how many people listen to me when I talk. Now, why do you think she's got Sagittarius in her 9th house? Well, I always teach that Gemini energy for twin flames, twin souls, usually represents the early stages when the twins break up, separate, hurt each other. That's the 3rd house, ruled by Gemini. So Gemini is important. Because see that's when you know you're dealing with like a soulmate. Now let me tell you the difference. Your twin soul is the opposite you. Same soul, different body. But a soulmate can be anybody from your soul family. Just like if you're all on a ship together, that's a shipmate. So a soulmate can be anybody from your soul family, but your twin soul is the exact opposite of you in a different body. So now you got Gemini. Gemini represents short-term, short-distance travel, creativity, siblings, earlier education, multitasking and thinking. Gemini is mental. Gemini does not like to dig deep like Scorpio. So if Gemini thinks it has a general idea, what you're talking about, that's good enough for a Gemini. But with Scorpio, Scorpio wants to really dig deep, and some people say understand, overstand. So Sagittarius and Gemini could be, it could be different. It could be different people, but it could also be because she's serious about relationships. She's more focused on having Sagittarius, which is a long-term relationship, and Gemini, which would normally be a short-term relationship. But that's also Neptune, because Neptune is very idealistic. They call Neptune the deceiver. So Neptune will make you believe everything's going to be great, but then reality finally hits in and it doesn't work out. But Gemini, Sagittarius also symbolizes like a second marriage. Gemini can also be a person you're in a relationship with who's a foreigner or who speaks foreign language. Sagittarius rules house number 9. This is all about long distance, longer relationships with twin flames. Culture, religion, foreign language, philosophy, class. So this person may dream of a more long-term, because I'm saying this because of Neptune. They may dream of a more long-term relationship, but unfortunately, it being in the third house with Gemini, it's still not going to be a long-term relationship, even though they're dreaming and wishing that it was. Or in her second house, you could be looking at both people. The Gemini, which is the sign of the person she is with, but she's not with him right now, I don't think. And then the Sagittarius could represent either getting back with that person for a second go at it, or it can represent the twin. Because the ninth house is the house of your higher self as well. And that's ruled by Sagittarius. So if you notice, pretty much not a whole lot of retrogrades until she gets to that 8th house. So we're going to learn more about that. I'm going to put this on pause. I'll be back. Also, Sagittarius in the 3rd house can be a very well-educated person, like even up to higher education. And it can also denote travel, like the person might like traveling, especially with Neptune. All right. Capricorn in the 4th house. Your 4th house is ruled by the moon. Your 4th house is ruled by Cancer. Cancer is ruled by the moon. Water sign, emotions. It deals with younger education, land and property, family and ancestors, the heart and travel and vehicles. And Capricorn and Cancer implies possibly a family business, possibly even a masculine presence. Because it should imply whoever raised you in a mother position when you were young, that would be Imam Kweli. Imam Kweli will always be in your subconscious mind. But when you see something like someone like Capricorn there, it can imply a male figure. But see, your fourth house isn't just the family you were born into. It could even be your family, or even the family you have out of your life, or even the twin flame situation. But Capricorn, fourth house with nothing else there, tends to imply a family business. And then because Saturn rules Capricorn, and when we look where your Saturn is, right there with the partner sector in the first house. So once again, some type of partnership business or family business is the implication. So Capricorn in the fourth house implies that the foundation of your personal private persona and your personal life is your ability to achieve your goals and ambitions and have something tangible to show for them. You probably work hard in order to achieve success and status with it, to experience the fulfillment of being able to care for yourself and your loved ones. Your desired lifestyle likely has one goal: to make sure you and those you consider to be family need not struggle or suffer for anything. As long as you and your loved ones are provided for and protected, you feel safe and emotionally fulfilled. The location of Capricorn and your fourth house is directly opposite the 10th house, of which Capricorn is a natural ruler. So it is a great challenge for the Capricorn sign. Capricorn in this location, the fourth house, must learn the value and the necessity and the responsibility of helping others to find meaning and direction and purpose in life. Again, the fencing in quality of the Capricorn actually denies the others the energy, intelligence, and understanding that can be so meaningful to the lives of others. In many ways, a Capricorn has an inferiority complex, and this could be one of the reasons why Capricorn does not get too involved in the lives of others. Now, this is the beginning of the second quartile and emphasizes again the necessary of the Capricorn sign to get involved in life, to protect itself, and to project itself into daily affairs, daily encounters with people, places, and events. Actually, though it doesn't often appear externally, emotionally, Actually, though it doesn't often appear externally, emotionally it's central to a Capricorn, and it is to a Capricorn, a Cancer person. Although it doesn't appear externally, emotionally it's central to a Capricorn, as it is to a Cancer person. In other words, getting out, meeting people. The Cancer person will more easily express it, but the Capricorn should realize that their emotionality is a part of their projection to other people, and actually is as evident to them as if he was expressing it directly. Therefore, the quality of these emotions should be directed toward the level of compassion rather than earthy emotional environment, so that it influences others in a constructive manner. So they're trying to teach the Capricorn energy, also the Saturn energy, to be more people or family conscious. Trying to teach the Capricorn to be more feeling, and less serious. All right, that would be Capricorn in the fourth house. All right. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. All right, so again, your fifth house is also a hot spot. All right, well, because your fifth house is connected to the 11th house, connected to the eighth house. Your 11th house is where your true north node is. Now, to count your natal chart, because I know it could be a little confusing, and I think his is like that too. But your natal chart is ACEP. That would be your first house. So that house would be number one, and go number two, number three. So your 11th house is where Leo is. Now your true north node looks like a horseshoe. That's normal, and it should have an aura, which it does. So that's you don't have to worry about that aura. Even if that's a retrograde, it doesn't matter for the true north node. It should have an R. Now, if it didn't have an R, that's going to imply that particular placement on your chart will have dysfunctions. All right. So when your 11th house, from there we'll be going to your fifth house. From there we'll be going to your eighth house. It's funny. Everybody says it's talking about Vesta conjunct this north node, the south node, but they don't want to talk about the north node. All right, give me. I'm trying to find somebody who's talking about it. All right. I don't know what's going on with this. I don't know. We're still looking. All right. Just give me a moment. I'm just trying to find it. All right. All right, I'm gonna repeat this because I don't know if it recorded. In your 11th house, true north node. That's what you should be doing. This is your life purpose for this life. It's to be a leader, Leo, romantic, loves to travel, loves to have fun, children, takes advantage, takes risk, adventure, travel, fun, children, childlike ways, childbearing, getting out in nature. That's Leo. But it's in the 11th house, which means friends, association, and groups. It's ruled by Aquarius. Aquarius is all about teaching the community. And it has Vesta. Vesta's about that fire. She's a priestess. Some say she's sexual. I think it could vary for each person, but mostly she's a priestess. She tries to get you to work with that Virgo energy, which is kind of like a healing energy, and in some ways it's the home energy. So that's your true north node. That's what you're supposed to be doing in this life. But you're putting yourself first, even though you're around people. You're still putting yourself first because that's your true north node. Now in your 5th house, that represents your south node. This is your past life, and it appears like you cared more about other people with Aquarius energy that you didn't really you weren't assertive as you could have been. So when your true north node, this life, present life, they're giving you Leo energy to make you still be around people because they definitely want you out around people, but not be so much to serve people so much that you're not voicing yourself, who you are. And I think we dealt with that earlier in your chart in earlier houses. So now I'm gonna put this on pause. When we come back, we have to do what they call sexology because when you get to your 5th house, they do your 5th house and 8th house sexology. And plus, we want to know more about your 8th house because that's where you got your retrogrades. And we already told you about your 2nd house and your 8th house. We'll be back. All right. So with Aquarius in your 5th house, this is really your past life. This is your south node, which is your past life. So this is what you don't want to repeat. You want to be aware of it, but you don't want to repeat it. You want to make sure you're working on your true north node, which is in your 11th house with Leo. With Aquarius as a sign in your 5th house, love, sex, and dating will be highly unconventional. You might be a rebel in love and challenge all traditional dating rules, preferring instead to make your own. Aquarius in the 5th house will also bring a highly charged mental energy to the love life and sex life. You might enjoy online dating, electronic sex toys, and even communicating with your lover using the latest technological gadgets. And we discussed all that in the 2nd house too. If you have Aquarius in your 5th house, a sexual relationship might be erratic, or you might fall in love with a very unusual person who is a visionary in some way. There could be sudden breakups and sudden affairs if Aquarius is in your 5th house, but you'll likely enjoy shaking your love life up every now and then. For you, love and sex must always have a little taste of rebellion. And I think that's what they're trying to get out of you in this life. So now, this is the 8th house, but we still going to look at the 8th house. In fact, before I read this, we're going to look at the 8th house because that's important. Because your 8th house and your 2nd house. Okay, now your Pallas retrograde is coming off the 7th house going right into the 8th. So we are going to be treating that as it's in the 8th house. And you see 18 again. You have a lot of 18s, a lot of 666s. So now to really understand your 8th house, you have to remember what I said when we were in your 7th house, and I read all of that to you. But just to let you know, Taurus is about sensitivity as well. Taurus likes massages. It's a very sensitivity person. I could say sensual type person. Taurus is about finances, possessions, value systems. But Taurus has to be careful. You'll read more about it. But on a lower vibration, Taurus tends to be out for itself. And that's what I had said earlier. Taurus tends to be out for itself. Even if it's somebody else's resources, Taurus is still out for itself. And that's why they were warning about incarceration. All right. So now, we're still going to go in. But now, see, this is your soulmate stuff. When you see that cross, that's the vertex. That cross tells you that this is going to be a significant meeting, a significant event, a significant breakup, or it might be your soulmate. So you might be in a soulmate relationship with a Taurus or someone who has a personality of a Taurus. Kind of stubborn, kind of strong, maybe attractive looking. But it's also here where you got your emotions hurt. Because Chiron retrograde means emotions were hurt here and it's hard to heal. So we're going to take it easy because we really want to know about that. I'm pretty sure I know about that Pallas retrograde, but I still want to look it up. Now, Pallas helps in the area of intelligence and cerebral. She also helps you solve problems because she'll show you patterns. Patterns help you solve problems. She's very strategical. She's a warrior, but she could also be a peaceful general, but she's a general. Cities are her domain. So this is where you might meet the soulmate at some type of city. And you don't have to you never have to take this. It could be a busy town. It doesn't have to necessarily be a city, just be it could be suburbs, anything. But that's what it's implying. Now, Pallas is interconnected with Libra. So you're dealing with your 1st house and your 7th house because of her focus on ideas. Like Libra, she can see both sides. She is not blind justice. She is only just. Pallas is creative and artistic. She is a survivor. She expects everyone to claim their personal power. They're saying that Pallas is Jupiter's daughter. And she carries influences over the immune system, the arts, the father-daughter relationship, intuition, justice, wisdom, defense, horses, and the kidneys. Now she's daddy's little girl. So Pallas will help determine how you interpret your relationship with your father, and in turn how you treat all males in general. See, again, then when we go back to your fourth house, see, that's the implication that there was more of a dominant male presence in that fourth house, and not and less a less female, like a less female or motherly presence. Now, Pallas retrograde, she touches on conflict, legal battles, and injustice and illnesses due to a weakened immune system. But see, when she's fighting for social issues and the poor and women and children, that's not evil. Because usually that's what Pallas retrograde is doing. Usually, not always, but usually. So that's what you got going on in your eighth house. And we're still not done with it. Now this is talking about Pallas direct in Taurus. So I'm gonna have to adjust it. I'm gonna have to adjust it because Pallas on your chart is retrograde in Taurus. All right. Pallas in Taurus receives information through the physical senses. They can heal through the laying on of hands. So, like I said, you may be into alternative healing and again massages, massage therapy. They are skilled in color, form, and texture, so they can transform these things into beautiful works of music. Beautiful works of music, art, or landscape. And it's funny they should say that because property is in the eighth house as well. Could be other people's property. Could be graveyards, estates. They are concerned with the environmental. They're concerned with the environment and they use common sense. They have the patience to stick with the cause over the long haul. Of course, Taurus can be very patient. Their ability to solve problems increases when they are fed, because Tauruses like to eat as well. All right. Now we already read it. We read the long list of what's in Taurus. I mean, we read the long list of what's in the 8th house. All right. We're now going to do Taurus in the 8th house. First, we're going to read is astrologyclub.org. Your financial and material resources are either contributed to you by others or come to you as results of the efforts of others. You may be benefiting from the resources of others rather than on your own merits, garnering wealth in abundance from or through them. You may be seen as truly blessed or as taking undue advantage of others. The receipt of inheritances and gifts is very common with Taurus in the 8th house. In some cases, you may find that you feel controlled by those who contribute to your life as if they have brought your loyalty or affections. I believe that you have and expect you to do their bidding in return. This is also a position that needs to be cautious of codependency patterns, but more from a power and control base, mutual manipulation, rather than the true exchange of dependency. With the 8th house, we are dealing with the search for truth, metaphysics, astrology, or it can be religion or any discipline which bring out the essence of truth itself. We are also dealing with higher values. On a lower octave, Taurus tends to have a lower sense of values, concentrating attention upon the material aspect of life, the physical features, the external features, rather than the higher values of these things and of life itself. Give me a second. Often it implies from past incarnations that the search for truth on the part of the person with Taurus in the 8th house was one which reflected self, just like I said. The person who knew it and was a know-it-all and wanted the attention from others as being the person to whom they could turn for the answers. Whether it was in depth or whether it was shallow. So when it comes to the search for truth itself, the Taurus in the past could have been very, very dogmatic. In other words, here is truth, you must believe as I tell you. not granting to others the right to think for themselves or have opinions of their own, pretty much the way we would have a dogmatic religious person who could not step outside the framework of the tenets of the church. In this case, Taurus must step aside and allow his consciousness to expand, and through this expansion will come the growth and, of course, the creative quality and the artistic sense of Taurus could come into play in its case. Taurus, being an earth sign and practical in nature, would then have loaned it to the water quality of Scorpio, which is a natural ruler of the 8th house. And as you see, you have yours reversed. Your Scorpio is in your 2nd house ruled by Taurus. Your Taurus is in your 8th house ruled by Scorpio. So Taurus in the 8th house is just like Cancer, just like Capricorn in the 4th house ruled by Cancer. They're taking these signs. I think they're both earth signs, both Taurus and giving feeling to it, emotions. Because in a past life you may have been more earthy, but now they're trying to teach you to be more feeling. Thus bringing into play the feeling quality so that Taurus there must not only think but also feel, must not only know but also understand. The great lesson for Taurus here is the higher value of knowledge as it can be applied in life from the viewpoint of the spiritual and not from the viewpoint of knowledge as it can produce things, security, possessions for the Taurus. So Taurus will put a value system in the 8th house for himself in dealing with the 8th house mysteries. So Taurus could be a stronghold in the 8th house, but they're more like a stronghold to help others, not a stronghold to use knowledge or authority to benefit themselves. So that's the goal of Taurus in the 8th house. Now this is the second part of sextrology or sexology, sexastrology. I think it's sexual astrology, sexualastrology.com. We did the 5th house with Aquarius. Now this is the 8th house with Taurus. So the money turns you on. If Taurus is in the sign of the 8th house, then your approach to intimate love and sexual encounters will be more practical and materially oriented. A partner with the means to please your body in physical and material ways will be the doorway to intimacy for you. If Taurus is in the 8th house, your relationship will be deeply sensual and you'll easily surrender your soul to all bodily pleasures. You thrive in love and sex, and if the relationship is monogamous with Taurus in the 8th house, you thrive in love and sex if the relationship is monogamous with Taurus in the 8th house. In addition, you'll use the physical act of sex as a vehicle for learning how to achieve emotional intimacy rather than most if Taurus is in your 8th house. Because that's what they really want you to use in this life. Be more in touch with your emotions. Raw, physical, earthy, and lusty sex that is not complicated is what you yearn for. Lying in your lover's arms after you've moved mountains together is all you need to feel deeply transformed. Because the 8th house is the house of transformation with Scorpio and its ruler, Pluto. All right. 6th house is about healing, ruled by Virgo. So this is going to be a spiritual healing. 6th house is health, healing, daily activities, daily duties, small children, small animals, subordinates, and or co-workers. So Pisces is about spiritually helping others, spiritually teaching others, self-sacrificing. And again, Neptune is helping Pisces, because Neptune is in your third house where you have this Gemini Sagittarius thing going on, short term versus long term, but it still needs healing to make it really last, to make it really mature, stabilize. So that's spiritual healing coming out of your fifth house. Now, that's the Virgo energy. And also you see the Virgo energy in the 12th house as well. And that's the showdown house. But we're going to say that flash. Your 8th house and your 12th house did a lot with what's inside, the shadow stuff, the stuff nobody really gets to see. But we'll learn more about the 12th house there when we get there. But you see Virgos there. And the 12th house is also ruled by Pisces. So it is somewhat of a spiritual house. All right. Now, because see, your 8th house may have had some abuse, and I'm gonna tell you why. Because you got the Chiron retrograde, which is something that's been hurt and it's hard to heal. And this is dealing with Scorpio energy with Mars, which can be very aggressive. We've already learned that. And in your 7th house of relationships, you got Aries. So it might have been aggressive towards a relationship and stuff as well. And then you even got Pluto in Libra, but your 7th house is ruled by Libra. So it's definitely a lot of intense energy that could have led. And whenever you see like Pallas retrograde, that can be abuse, because that's about women for the most part. So it could have been some type of abuse there, because you have aggression with its Aries in your 7th house. Now, your ninth, like I said, the 9th house is the more ruled by Sagittarius. Is more mature. The couples are finally growing, and it's also the house really of the second marriage. And you have Gemini there, so you know the sign of who has Gemini. So that's the implication being made there. And you may learn more when we get to the chart to the right as well, but it's giving that implication. Like if you see somebody coming spirit, like now the Virgo, I forget what her identity is, but if she is connected to the Gemini, because I think that's what you said, but I couldn't vote I couldn't base everything on that. If the Gemini is connected to the Virgo, you can see the connection, because it's all connected to that healing. That's spiritual. Like, are they going to church? Or they have some type of spiritual thing they're into? Because there's all this healing stuff going on. See, let me try to explain how the universe works. You could see somebody with somebody you used to be with, and you think that, well, that person took my so-and-so away. But universally speaking, that person might help push that person back to you. As crazy as that sounds. Because people, like I said, if they start getting spiritual healing, they might see the world totally different. And the reason why he broke up, he's like, whoa, I shouldn't broke up for that reason. It's just how the universe works. Not saying that's what everybody wants, but you're kind of seeing it. You're kind of seeing it on the chart, because that Pisces energy is working to stabilize either you with the Gemini or the Gemini with the Virgo. And that's what you see in your 9th house. And we've already said that now there's nurturing in your 10th house, but the point is it's Cancer. Okay, so it's going to either be your employment is either going to be a family business. You might be working from home. Even if you work for somebody else, it still could be education, like teenage to adult education. It's still land and property. It's still ancestors and family. It's still the heart. It's still vehicles and possibly travel. So that's all the possibilities with the 6-9. We already did your 11th house. And finally, we're going to do your 12th house. But let's read what the 12th house is all about. The 12th house is the house of subconsciousness. The 12th house is commonly referred to as the house of the unconscious. The unconscious state can help engender our successes as well as assist us in coping with our failures. Success versus failure. Do we consciously confront our lives or subconsciously sweep things under the proverbial rug? This house might more aptly be called the house of reckoning, since it is the 12th house that we review what we have been and done and decide where we go from here. Along with these unconscious musings, we also deliberate on strengths and weaknesses that are hidden from the public view. Our subconscious works hard on our behalf, trying to make sense of our lives. This shadow play is slow and long and often fraught with fear and pain. It is in this context that we are confronted with our sorrows, sufferings, and the secrets we keep from ourselves and others. Ultimately, we are also confronted with our fate, karma. Here we meet with the results of everything we have done. This further puts the focus on repressed agendas and restraint. What have we wrought in our lives? This is a key question of the 12th house. We will deal with it both consciously and unconsciously. Will the answer compel us to be transformed or reborn? This is another cornerstone of the 12th house, the manner in which we move forward. So I think somebody told you you had a karmic relationship with him, I think. So that could be true. It's through your 6th house through Virgo, because Pisces is in your 6th house. Your 6th house is ruled by Virgo. When you go to your 12th house, you see Virgo. And when you go to your 9th house, you see Gemini. When you go to your 3rd house, you see Gemini and Sagittarius. So it's definitely a karmic situation. And like I said, anybody could be a soulmate. Just a twin soul, only one person can be that. Now, again, the 9th house could be about travel, higher education, philosophy. It could be religion. Because sometimes you see people break up or whatever, but they go to the same church or stuff like that. Like they may go to the same church with their new person, and the person they broke up with might go to the same place with their new person or the other person. All right. So your moon sign is also Virgo, and the moon also deals with reincarnation. You can look that up. You can say moon reincarnation if you go to YouTube, or lunar reincarnation. So we're going to look at the moon in Virgo. Now, I never saw this before. This is called metaphorical platypus. I don't know. They're doing a whole heck of a lot of writing, and I'm not sure if this is what I'm really looking for. All right. Okay, what just happened? Come on. All right, we're gonna try always astrology. Virgo moon. Virgo moon looks to the little things in life for their happiness and security. They may deny it, but they actually enjoy activities like running errands, taking care of details, and so on. They may complain about it, but as long as they feel appreciated, they will do their best to not only care for themselves, they'll take care of you too. They'll usually be the first to volunteer to help someone else. And that's funny because that's what the 12th house can mean. Ruled by Pisces, it could be about sacrifice. They may be a bit low in self-esteem, but many are very happy to have a normal pedestrian life. Simplicity is their mantra, and they feel most at home when they can go through life without a lot of public attention. Because of this, they may be accused of being an underachiever or not setting their sights high enough. In reality, they are easily stressed, and they much happier when they stay within their comfort level. Virgo moon signs love routines. Love routine. They are very unhappy without one, or at least feeling they have a job that is necessary. They may appear fussy or are labeled as a complainer, but they really can't function well without their routine. They do the best at jobs that require a lot of detail or micromanaging. They will show how much they care in small practical ways like putting away your laundry. Open infection may cause them to pull back a little, and they are often shy when meeting new people. Once they're comfortable, however, they are happy to be themselves. They are trustworthy and reliable and are a good source of advice or help in just about any situation. The practicality makes them very useful to keep around. They make excellent counselors, and they are very talented at comforting others and making them feel better. In a relationship, Moon and Virgo can possibly be shy or intimidated. They are very aware of themselves, and when combined with low self-esteem, it can really interfere with forming a healthy relationship. They are being too critical of themselves. Once they gain self-confidence, they can become a wonderful partner with a lot to contribute. They tend to keep their own feelings bottled up, which can cause health issues in the long run. Others may see Virgo moon as cold or unaffectionate, which in most cases is not true. Which in most cases is not true. Moon in Virgo is born skeptic. When faced with blind faith, they can't help but pick at it. They can be frustrating because they insist on finding the practical application to everything. Virgo moon is full of curiosity, yet seems apathetical at the same time. This can confuse some people. While they can dish out the criticism, they are extremely sensitive to receive it themselves. Virgo moon likes to stay busy, and they are happy as long as their life feels under their control. They may put up invisible barriers to others, whether they realize it or not. They hope that others will put forth extra effort to get to know them anyway. Okay, now of course, there's love here, because Venus is about forgiveness, love, diplomacy, fashion, having fun, romance. But there's also finance here, because Jupiter gives finance, fortune, and expansion, possibly even good luck. So just to let you know what all that is. And then all we need to know now is Virgo in the 12th house. Why would Virgo be in the 12th house? Give me a second. All right, this is astrologyclub.org. Okay, you'll be very detail oriented, we already said, but you'll also have a big dose of compassion and sensitivity. That's all Virgo. That's the good news. The challenge here is that you may be apt to change your plans because of others' sensitivity, spending your own life in a bit of disarray in order to accommodate their feelings about you and your life. So the warning against that, because people tend to martyr themselves with Pisces energy or in the 12th house. Like they stop being who they are to make other people happy. So they're telling you don't do that. So Virgo represents the soul's descent into matter. So the 12th house, you are involved with the fulfillment of the soul's activities and experiences as Virgo has traveled around the horoscope. This is a culmination. It can bring fulfillment. The service that Virgo can render in the 12th house is a soul service and a soul awareness. Like I said, soulmates, karmic relationships. The 12th house, that's what it's all about. The 12th house, you're involved with universality. The principles of a universal nature which govern all of life, both the visible and invisible. There is an awareness that Virgo can bring to mankind, and this is an awareness in itself to be beneficial to the upliftment of mankind's consciousness. So in many ways, it brings a double dose of karma with Virgo here because of this soul implication. And since the 12th house does deal with soul and karma, it is through this soul awareness that cosmic consciousness can be achieved. The service that can be best rendered by Virgo in the 12th house is indicating to mankind the balance between the two worlds, which can bring about personal and individual fulfillment for each person. But in the 12th house, because Virgo likes to be structured, in the 12th house, the Virgo needs to learn to be unstructured or to flow with the vastness and the often intuitive nature associated with knowledge here. The characteristics of the 12th house, compassion and understanding, are further emphasized with the location of Virgo on the 12th house crux, for these are the two qualities of Virgo. So the selfless service quality of the 12th house will be based upon the compassion and understanding, and by the direct reaction to the 6th house, which I did say that. Those qualities will then help mankind understand life more, be compassionate, and also help Virgo teach mankind how to transmute the basic emotional reactions to the level of compassion and understanding, putting everything on a more spiritual basis. Of course, the location here of Virgo would bring about the spiritual good doer. All right, so then that will conclude this side of the natal chart. Now we're going to look at the next side of the natal chart. All right, so now we're looking at the right side. This is the male twin. He also believes in partnership, fairness, equality, possibly contracts, legal matters, and he has the cash. He has the cash to support these areas. So, as far as a housing arrangement, it's going to be almost the same as hers. So, first house, Libra, we already did that. Second house, Mercury, Scorpio already did that. Eighth house, Taurus. That's going to be the same. We're going to find out Jupiter and Libra. All right. Now, if you notice, what was interesting about her chart is her chart didn't have any planets that were retrograde. Theories about that are she's a new soul, or theories about that are she didn't have any karma in her past life or her past lives, other than whatever she needs to work on in this life. And that seems to be with the Gemini, Virgo energy, primarily in the 12th house. And you can see planet Jupiter is interested in that as well. You see how close Jupiter is to Libra in her chart to the left, and then Jupiter's right there again. I try to teach people Jupiter is very interested in twin flames and twin soul unions, because I know he is very, very interested in my situation. All right. Now remember, the activity in his first house is going to affect his 7th house, because the 7th house is ruled by Jupiter. All right, give me a moment. Jupiter and Libra. Now this is always astrology.com. Jupiter and Libra finds the most luck when they are fair and treat others equally. Their natural graciousness and talents at promoting and meditating can often bring them many opportunities. Their natural graciousness and talents at promoting and mediating can bring them many opportunities. They are intellectually adventurous and willing to learn. They are open-minded and impartial. Because of this, they are often persuaded to change their minds through the arguments of others. They can see all sides to an issue. Jupiter in Libra does best in teams of 2. They have a true gift for working one-on-one. They like things around them to be aesthetically pleasing. aesthetically pleasing. They can turn this into a career such as interior decorator, fashion, or other artistic avenues. They are also good at entertaining, writing, and public relations. Libra and Jupiter is idealistic, and they are attracted to those who share their views. Pairing up with people of like mind can enhance their opportunities and good fortune. They are very considerate of others and understand the elements of compromise. They can be very persuasive. They have a strong sense of justice. Jupiter and Libra loves people. This will bring them much good fortune. Their natural diplomacy lets them interact with others and solve problems. If they can develop a strong sense of self, their luck grows stronger. This allows them to care less what others think about them. They are humanitarians and they lead dignified lives. Because if you remember on the other side, I was talking about culture and class. If they can be creative and bring about beneficial social change at some time, all the better for Libra, Jupiter. They can then make everything harmonious. On the downside, when Jupiter and Libra lets their ego get too big, they can become too optimistic, greedy, snobbish, and overly condescending to those around them. If they can keep themselves in check, they are humorous, hearty, and jovial. They like to explore new ventures and opportunities. So that's the way that's the image he projects to the public. That's how the public sees him. That's his first house. Now he's a true Scorpio because he's got Pluto and Scorpio. But he's a lot like her with Scorpio in the second house. And Scorpio rules the 8th house. And Taurus in the 8th house. But Taurus rules the second house. But he's not afraid of the dark. Like whenever you see the sun in Scorpio or Pluto, because that's the hidden mysteries and stuff. But he's not afraid of it. And again, 22. So 22 is a big number with him. That's a master number, master builder number. But it's also the 1111. It's also the 22, which is a twin flames number as well. Yep, master number. It's the master teacher number. And I believe 44 is the master builder. And you usually do not break down master numbers, but if you did break it down, it will go to 4, which is the number, the angel. So now they're saying that number 11 is because my life path is 11, which is a master number, but they're saying this is the healer number. All right. So the first thing you want is Sun conjunct. And see how close Vesta is to Scorpio? But it's in the 3rd house, but it's close to the 2nd. See, this is how these two are connected so far. Ascendant is the same. The chart is basically the same. The housing arrangement is the same. And we talked all about Sagittarius and all that. And his true north node is Sagittarius. So, universally speaking, he's competing with Gemini for that Sagittarius spot, which is that long-term relationship or the second marriage or being married the second time. So that's when you got to think a little bit. I'm not being funny, but you got to think a little bit because that's awesome. Because it's almost like he's there to change what would have happened. See, I love this. See, when I read this shit, I know what's going on because I can think like the people who put this stuff together. But he's there to stop. He's like there. I'm not saying deliberately or mean spirited, but I'm saying he's there to actually. I feel like I'm watching Terminator or something when a guy shows up to kill the other guy and shit. This is so cool. I'm sorry. I'm a nerd. All right, let's continue. Okay, so first thing we're gonna do is Sun conjunct Pluto. Dark Star Astrology wants to handle this. And that's where I want to go. That's where my intuition wants to. Just because it says dark, it's not a bad thing. Because that's what I thought about Dark Pixie. But they're really good. And if I saw it, I would have went to myastrologybook.com, which I do have it. But I still want to go to Dark Astrology too, as well. So I want to do both of them. And see how close they are to their interpretations, that is. There's another theory. When you see somebody with no retrogrades on their chart, it could imply they came from somewhere else. That's why I told everybody to read about Syrian souls, because like my twin is totally Syrian the way she acts, and I see a lot of strange stuff going on when I look at Sirius. But I have a lot of I have a lot of space communications. See, the more we break this matrix that we're in, that's set up to keep us down, the more you can see more things. The universe talks to you a lot more, but you got to really believe. You got to come out of the matrix. All right, now I'm trying to do something, and I'm getting mad because I want that other website. And there, I got it. Give me a moment. This is going to be difficult. Not real difficult, but I can already tell. Because first I lost it, then I got it back, but now it's trying to be a pain to copy. But those are usually the good ones. All right, let me see. All right, so this is going to be a good one. Sun conjunct Pluto. Pluto conjunct the Sun symbolizes that you come on strong. Now, this is myastrologybook.com. And that your intensity may intimidate others and put them through a lot of changes. You are not afraid of a good confrontation and seldom pull any punches. You feel you have something very special to accomplish and therefore want to shape and control your own destiny through the use of your will. In order not to operate in a vacuum, however, you need to link your special individual purpose to some socially relevant need. Who needs help? I'm Pluto conjunct Sun. In this incarnation, you are learning about the limits of personal power, as well as to shape and control your own destiny by the use of your will. Depending on your karmic situation, you may have had either a dominating, intimidating father or one whose very life symbolized that reality is what we make it, and that you can do anything if you commit yourself to what you want to become. You may identify with the larger-than-life figures who stand for social power and who have transcended society entirely. Because on her chart, I kept telling you about that Capricorn influence and the Saturn influence, and I was saying it was masculine. Your sense of purpose in life is constantly undergoing metamorphosis, because Pluto and Scorpio are both about a transformation. And plus, Scorpio and Pluto rule the 8th house. That's all about birth, death, rebirth, regeneration, rejuvenation. Your sense of purpose in life is constantly undergoing metamorphosis and pressure to change and evolve. This is frustrating at times, as you can be aware of your potential, but actual change only occurs at specific life stages. You may try to control and manipulate others or be drawn to those who do. And that's why they both had that funny thing with the bull, Taurus, and Scorpio. Be aware of ruthless behavior in this regard, for at times you have a compulsive need to eliminate anything that stands in the way of realizing your individuality and personal power. You would be good at research or work that requires digging, researching, investigating, and getting beneath the surface. That was my astrologybook.com, and this is Dark Astrology. I'll be back. All right, here we go. Okay, so this is darkastrology.com. Sun conjunct Pluto is the black sun shining, the dark Vader of all sun aspects. It is high contrast and stark lightning. The brighter the sun, the darker the shadow, and that is just what we get here. This red-eye sexuality is quite a paradox. Sun conjunct Pluto exudes power but doesn't need to make a big song and dance about it. Their mere physical presence is enough to ensure obedience and submission. Sun conjunct Pluto's eyes bore right into your soul. Their eyes can be dark and smoldering, or light and piercing. Their sexual magnetism is off the Richter scale, but they have an invisible force field around it that says, look, don't touch. Hence, people are often too afraid to approach them. So you better be glad I read this. Despite Sun-Pluto's sex appeal, they are not promiscuous, preferring instead very few intense and all-consuming love affairs. They usually prefer quality, not quantity. Sun-Pluto is not about frills or fluff. Their effective life in an overexposed photo, where you are the photo. These folks strip you bare and get to your essence. There is no hiding from Sun conjunct Pluto's glares. It is relentless. Alright, so that was it. That was deep. That was freaking awesome. And this is all going on in the second house of possessions, finances, and value system. Now we're going to do Pluto in Scorpio. myastrologybook.com once again, and we'll see if there's anybody else that wants to step up. Not really. Pluto rules and is strongest in Scorpio. When that happens, you have a great transformations. It can occur as earthquakes, catastrophes, but also in the form of transformations and increased interest in medicine, surgery, advanced healing, psychology, nuclear physics, engineering, genetics, mining, the oil industry, and the occult. So he can be doing any, when I read that long list of what's in the 8th house, he can be doing any of that or all of that in the 2nd house, but he's also getting money and finances off of it. And he's not, like, he can go way deeper into this kind of stuff than the average person. It's always going to be a mysticism about the sun and the darkness. Like, to me, that's the epitome of love-hate. The epitome of alchemy, mixing the two. The extreme opposites that actually work together. And nothing would exist in this universe without them. Like a cop, there would be no job for a cop if there was no bad guys. Basically, that which was hidden and deals with the core and nucleus of things was explored and uncovered. Powerful healers and transformative individuals incarnated under this sign. And notice how they keep using that word about incarnation when they're talking about this gentleman. As well as those interested in the occult and the fields mentioned above. Intense personal change and inner transformation is characteristic of the lives of those born with Pluto in Scorpio. This may be the first generation to free itself from the sexual, emotional traumas and neuroses visited on earlier generations by their karmic situations. So he's kind of coming to liberate karmic situations. It really is. It's like a Terminator movie. So that's all in the 2nd house. An investor's right there. And his first retrograde is with Mercury. Now, again, and you see he has a lot of 7s there. He's got the 77721. Now, what's interesting is, right where I told you, the 3rd house ruled by Gemini. So she was right when she told me that, because she's like, oh, what about this? What about that? And and I got mine. She said, this is my twin, and then this is so and so, and then here's this other person. But she's right, because they're all connected, just like she said. And this is a soul. This is all. It's like a soul 4-way. It's a soul 4-way. Soul 4-way connection. But I told you. Well, first I told you about the Gemini energy. That is usually the initial immature stage. But there's a possibility they'll get back together with the Sagittarius energy. But he pops up. And see, he pops up. This is a dysfunctional situation or an extreme situation. Because notice how his true north node, the horseshoe, has no aura. That aura belongs to Mercury, not to... And then again, Venus is so close. Because sometimes the time might be off a little bit. The time that was given. But either way, you can just know what they're trying to say. So their soul connection, he really is like stepping in to either block this guy from getting to the 2nd marriage or to assist. Because believe it or not, sometimes your twin flame comes and pushes you somewhere. They don't always come to always be with you. But he's right there. And that's his life purpose. And that's the scary part. Because then I was going, man, this dude is like the Terminator. Like, he really is. Like, he just comes into your life. Like, he's either the Terminator or the other guy that came to get the Terminator. I don't know. But it's that type of vibe off of him. Like, he just came for that same thing. For that reason. And even a Virgo, because she's in that 12th house. And that's the 12th house of basically sacrifice. It can be karma as well, but it's also and it's endings and karma and expose. All right, so that's his life purpose. In fact, let's look more at since it's his life purpose. But remember, with no retrograde, that means it'll be a little. But we already know kind of what the dysfunction is. So that's his life purpose. But I'm still going to read Sagittarius and Gemini. I'll do that right. Now, what I want is Sagittarius in third. It's better if you say Sagittarius in third house. And that is astrologygoy.com. The astrology, Sagittarius.com. The Sagittarius in different houses. The astrology. Sagittarius.com. All right. Okay. I'm gonna try this one and just see what. This is Sagittarius.com. Sagittarius in different houses. Geminis are social butterflies, but they are ruled by this house. Geminis are social butterflies and they are ruled by this house. But do you know that they have a deep side to them that can go well with Sagittarius' philosophical one? You may be at ease here, but the third house being all about the mind may make you a bit undecisive. This is the time when you can't decide because there are so many things to figure out and you end up not doing anything in the end. So be careful analyzing in the third house. You might end up not stopping. This is astrologyclub.org. You may be the poster child for the idea that a mind is a terrible thing to waste. In fact, even if you love to get outdoors, travel, or otherwise explore, you may notice that your mind is the one thing you want to grow and expand more than anything else. This passion for information may have you being a perpetual student, going back to school, and I said this person's highly educated, going back to school again and again for yet another degree and yet another field of study, or simply taking a lot of classes or workshops in order to keep your mind stimulated and your knowledge base growing. You love to learn and know, but more than that, you like to prove what you know. You don't hesitate to communicate to others how knowledgeable you are, hoping they will share their knowledge with you in return so you can learn even more and get closer to discovering the ultimate truth of things. You may also find that you don't hesitate to say what's really on your mind, and you can be honest almost to a fault. Be careful that But if you understand why that happens, because they already said that about this individual. Why? Because he's involved with kind of like a three-way, and sometimes the two won't say it, so he will. Be careful that you don't get so involved with the exchange of learning and teaching that you don't do anything to apply your abundance of knowledge and wisdom to actual life experiences. Since this is the house of knowledge and Sagittarius tends towards intellectual pursuits, the location of the sign emphasizes the quality of the mind. Sagittarius in the third house makes for an excellent student and the ability to comprehend abstractions again by direct reaction to Gemini. There is a restlessness and a tendency to become easily bored if not challenged. Sagittarius here, as well as other locations of the chart, needs a constant mental challenge. Their minds are active, inquisitive, probing. Yet the caution to be stressed is that they just don't pursue those disciplines which are just for their interests. There could be a narrowness here, rather than seeing the interrelationship of all things. The Sagittarian might tend to pursue just those areas of which he is interested in, or which would contribute to his own skills, or which is any way useful to his personal motivations and direction. It is this location of Sagittarius which brings in the communication. Here the Sagittarian would tend to communicate much more than other locations of the horoscope. With Sagittarius in the third house, there is more of an extrovert quality in the Sagittarian sign. The self-centeredness could be decreased here, for this is the house of brotherhood. Once a mundane level, the third house is brothers and sisters put on the octave. It is a house of brotherhood. One of the lessons that the Sagittarius has to learn when it comes to the household is not to scatter his energies. So again, brotherhood with the Pisces energy in the 6th house and the 12th house of her chart. Spiritual, and 12th house is also buildings coming together. And that's what I see. I'm not saying that's what the case is here, but that's what I see. They all know each other, and they're kind of hanging out, but the universe is using that for its own reasons. I've seen charts where I can see why a female's confused, because she'll show me the guys, and they're so much alike, but just in different ways. That would confuse the heck out of anybody. So I can tell it's people that actually put this stuff together. This is no chance or coincidence. All this stuff was planned out. And that's why I read that thing about holographic matrix in the beginning of this study. Not to get too deep with it, but just to put it out there for people that are listening and kind of noticing these synchronicities. Alright. Now, so again, so the real thing, because we had already explained Sagittarius and Gemini earlier, but I just wanted to make sure, because it's his true purpose, it's his true life purpose. But even there, the undertone is going to be incomplete. Like his purpose, you understand, his purpose is in a house that's known for short distances and not really going deep with stuff, but it'll definitely shake up the house. And I believe that's what his purpose is for this situation. All right, Mercury retrograde. So now we get to find out a little bit more. Mercury rules over communication and thought or thinking things through. Communication is greatly affected by this planet's pull. During this period, individuals may find that messages to be conveyed through other, less familiar mediums. Messages may be misunderstood. Whispers may be overheard, and mail or email may be misdirected. Reviewing legal matters can become confusing or unclear. Public speaking can become difficult, and those giving speeches can be easily misunderstood. Misquoted. You might find it easier to provide self-expression through other forms rather than verbal or written. Now, past life. If Mercury is retrograde on your chart, communications are probably tough for you today. You may find your words can get you out into trouble, or you may be afraid to speak your mind for fear of the consequences. Now, don't you find that kind of strange that everywhere else they said, oh no, he's a powerful speaker. You know, he'll walk right up to you and look right through you and speak to you and go right to your soul. But when he gets to that third house, the same house I've been talking about since the other chart, all of a sudden he can't have the communication skill. Interesting. And I'm not saying that because she might say, hey, now he talks very well. No, I'm not saying that to duke it out. I'm saying what's on the chart as far as purpose. See, I don't get caught up on all this. I'm more interested in what the universe is saying because I know humans will lie. Their heart will get involved or their agenda and they'll just say anything. I'm more interested in what the universe is saying. Okay, not that it's a bad thing. Now, as a past life influence, it's likely that you were once scorned for speaking out. Perhaps your words significantly hurt a person or a people. You may have even influenced a riot and were then punished for your words. A Mercury retrograde symbolizes that you are afraid to say the wrong thing or that people take your words in the wrong way. So we already know he's not afraid to say the wrong thing. He's not afraid to speak. We already know that until this house. Or people take your words in the wrong way. That seems more believable. So you may find it easier not to speak at all. To overcome this lesson, you should believe in yourself and the ability of your communication skills. Practice public speaking and celebrate the achievements of speaking to a group. So this is all part of his purpose. You ever seen an athlete or somebody come out and they like were unstoppable until they got to a certain spot and they just fumbled and you don't know why? Like the last fight with Thug Rose Namajunas, the fight she had on November 4th. There's no way in the world Joanne should have went out there because I've seen many of Joanne's fights. She could box. But yet for some reason, she looked totally amateurish. To take a defeat like that, even when she went down, she didn't even try to really protect herself. She rolled over and just covered up like somebody just taking a beat down. When she's a trained fighter. She knows how to do stuff. I've seen her do it. So that could be what we're talking about here. Or, you know, maybe something else that they're not telling us. All right. So now all that is going into love. Now remember, Venus is about love, diplomacy, forgiveness, fun, even fashion. But that's coming off the third house into the fourth. And we already talked about the fourth house. All right, because we've already explained Capricorn and Cancer. That's not going to change. But let's do Palace. We're going to do this just a little bit differently. Because the fourth house is more about Capricorn energy. That's more about career, reputation, seriousness. It wouldn't be what you would call a typical family house. So I think we should do Palace and Capricorn. All right, we're going to do two people. We're going to do myastrology.com and we're going to do Bob Mark Astrologer. This person can see the underlying structure in any form. In healing, this is expressed in the skeleton. So modalites like posture therapy, chiropractic, osteopathy, deep tissue massage, and dentistry may be most appealing. They want to create precise modes to form their creative energies. Architect, sculpture, and drafting may be some of the creative arts that work well for this combination. So they're gonna have like a family center, because we already know he's into that type of healing coming from the 8th house. So this is kind of like a family center for you, helping people, like with alternative ways of healing or health. They have the ability to be in the right place at the right time. They defend law and order and have a strong need to be in authority. They are excellent organizers and planners. All right. Now, Palace. This is Bob Mark Astrologer. The other one I just read was alwaysastrology.com. If you have a difficult problem to figure out, go home. Palace in the 4th house means that your ability to see patterns and solve problems is greatest when you are in the house. So again, he may have his own home business. Since the 4th house also shows the last third or so of your life, your problem-solving abilities will probably become stronger with age. And now, again, she may be there with him with this situation, with this home situation. Because there's Venus. So she may actually be there with him. And that would be the Venus. And Uranus implies that's what we said earlier. You know, different techniques and things like that. So Uranus with Palace would definitely imply unconventional ways of healing and stuff like that. So now we want Uranus conjunct Neptune. All right. This is astromatrix.org. The conjunction came, okay. Anyone with a Uranus-Neptune conjunction will have a strong degree of identification with the collective mind and group consciousness. So he kind of like sees the world as his family, which in some cases could revert back to fervent nationalistic affinities in countries that have a powerful, controlling religious, racial, political, and social structure. See, these are the type of people. I mean, I'm not saying him, but what I just read, those are the type of people like during World War II. Like if the government takes over and they start saying we got to do this to the people, like those type of people would, instead of fighting the government, they'd be like, yeah, let's do it. The government said this. It must. They know what they're talking about, and they would have no conscience to stop them from doing stuff that they shouldn't be doing to people. Yet in most cases, it is unlikely that this will result in the emergence of charismatic demagogues, as in recent examples of the manipulation of the masses. There will be a directing sense of social responsibility and an awareness of participating in a social community which will be expressed in positive ways for the betterment of all. And that's what we're looking for. No more Hitler. The merged energies of this conjunction will inspire concepts of brotherhood, which will reflect the ideas of Uranus and Neptune as a form of revolutionary mysticism emerging from an acute mental and emotional sensitivity connected to an intuitive, imaginative facility. So that's what I'm saying. This Capricorn energy that's in her on her chart, this Saturn Capricorn energy is probably him, this gentleman. So he's like her family. So she may not have had a close connection with her family, and this gentleman's like her family. That's a possibility. Personal freedoms and rights will have a high priority, and there will be a new perception of leadership being formed, which can dissolve those old patterns of a powerful leader and hundreds of following sheep. There is a distrust of leaders based on an intuitive perception of their real motivations and characteristics, which will also develop into a new understanding of authority and power in society. Those born under this aspect, that's Uranus conjunct Neptune, will be willing to fight for the maintenance of personal freedoms and rights if they are under threat by the decision of social leaders. A new balance of power between the people and the state will begin to form, and a new politics should rise into view, reflecting this increase in individual rights and power. It's kind of funny because after Doug Rose beat Joanne, that's what Doug Rose said. Like, there's going to be a new era. I'm going to be a champion that represents the people. I'm not going to be a drug addict or set a bad example. Generally, this should be a period of spiritual and scientific development where breakthroughs occur in the exploration of mind and nature. Changes that became inevitable by 1994 will have to be more fully achieved and realized by this new generation, imbued with a more conscientious spirit of human dignity and solidarity. And he is a relatively young man, just to let you guys know that. This dude's not breaking 30 yet. All right. So that was fascinating. All right, now we move into the fifth house. Now, we're not going to do sexual astrology because it's going to be the same as this. Because sexual astrology deals only with the sign. It doesn't deal with anything else. Like, it doesn't deal with any asteroids or any planets or anything. So we already know what that is. So what we are going to do this time, we're going to do Aquarius in the fifth house. That hook is called Kira. She's a nurturer. That's her main function, is nurturing. All right. Aquarius in the fifth house. I'll just see if my astrology book.com is there. All right. With Aquarius in the fifth house, you experience great joy and find much entertainment in group or collaborative activities by interacting with others socially. You may also find that your recreation may be centered around the latest and greatest technological advancements. Aquarius know how to host lively gathering of friends. You tend to seek out social circles that are all about fun, lightness, and oddities. The stranger the bunch, the more fun the Aquarius in the fifth house will have. You tend not to want to date a so-called normal person. You seek out unusual recreation activities, or you could create them yourself. The stranger the better, and the bigger the group to share the bizarre experience with, the better. It's funny how he even represents your past life. Because that Aquarius in the 5th house energy, that's your past life. That's your South Node. See, each chart is done so differently. You could tell if somebody actually did it. Like, it's like beautiful artwork. It's like honestly phenomenal. And sometimes you could tell they had like a sense of humor. Like I just sit here and watch them be cracking up. So Aquarius in the 5th house is going to be a very creative person. Aquarius can be the most creative sign of the zodiac. They are never satisfied with the status quo or anything. They're always seeing how things can be better. They're very advanced in their thinking. The future is always within them. They deal a lot with philosophical or psychological endeavors, any form of creativity actually. But now Aquarius rules the 11th house, so the 5th house will be directly connected to the 11th house. Aquarius on the 5th house would make good parents, but they tend also in educational endeavors of children to stress the more advanced theories of education, feeling that the child should only pursue those things in which he is interested, in which the child is interested. So they say, but the Aquarian must learn in the 5th house for your children that you just can't tell your child, oh, just pursue the areas you're interested in, because they say they have to learn things for their own good. But you have to be careful, because Hitler did a lot of stuff that it wasn't for their own good, because he turned the kids from their own parents. And the reason why I'm mentioning that, because they're doing that right now, and people just don't realize it. They don't know what your kids are being taught when you go to school. That's why a lot of parents are homeschooling their own kids or getting somebody to homeschool their kids. Because when the government starts saying it's for your own good, it's usually for their own good. Just a fact. Just from a historian, just letting you know. So I would trust the Aquarian a little bit more than the government. These are the guys that are shooting your kids up with things that are killing them and changing them and all kind of crazy shit. So maybe that's not for their own good. It's for your own good, you devil worshiping piece of. Oh, excuse me. Yes, I am a conspiracy nut. So what? What of it? All right, now. All right, so that's it. Aquarius in the 5th house. Now, why is Saturn there? Because if Saturn wasn't there, he would probably go too far off the deep end. Hey, freedom, man. Let's just be free. And then get nurturing. But see, nurturing is 515, and that is the number of Mother Mary. Triple fives is like 15. So 515 would be the Mother Mary as well. And she is the ultimate nurturer. But Mother Mary is also Isis, the divine feminine. The big mama, my best friend. All right. So Saturn and Aquarius is say, hey man, you're getting a little too free. Because you know, the 5th house is all about fun and freedom and running, and you got Leo. So Saturn's like, okay, you're getting a little too free. So now we got to regulate you a little bit. We got to slow you down. Saturn in the 5th house. No, Saturn in Aquarius. Always astrologybook.com. Saturn in Aquarius is a strong position, since with Uranus, because Uranus rules Aquarius, and Uranus always rebels against Saturn. Saturn's test in Aquarius is to grow in openness and fairness to all, to be responsible for an awareness of the brotherhood of all mankind. So that seems to be the theme on his natal chart, to worry about the brotherhood of all mankind. You will be frequently asked to put your own personality aside and be a representative of a larger and more universal consciousness. When Saturn is unafflicted here, and it is unafflicted, you can be strong and personal, just, scientific, universal in outlook. It's important that you keep your circulation flowing with this position. So be careful, move around, squeeze your fingers, your toes and stuff. Be careful of your circulation. All right. So there you have your fifth house, his fifth house. All right. Sixth house, Virgo. Well, we already know that's a spiritual healing. All right, so we're going to do part of fortune. That's part of fortune. What they call it, good fortune. That circle with the X. We're going to do that, but we're going to do Lilith first. We're going to do Lilith in the sixth house, and then we're going to do Lilith in Pisces. All right. We'll do Lilith in Pisces first, because that came up first. Lilith and Pisces can produce almost high-grade blurriness and impressingness. Perhaps you go voluntarily independence, also separatingness, and an excessive social activity characterizes you. Possibly you repudiate yourself and don't recognize your internal needs, or you don't allow them to yourself. Fantasy, art, sense, and inspiration are very strong here. Remember, planet Neptune communicates with Pisces through your dreams and intuition. That's on both charts. Always remember that. In addition, this position shows the danger to succumb to illusions and surrealities again and again. Possibly the whole life does not appear to you as real, but is virtual. So he really's got to work on that. And that's the healing. It's funny how they said virtual, and the sixth house is ruled by Virgo. This is how you know this was all put together by somebody. That's called etymology, organizing words that's are written alike or sound alike, wordplay, but they all work together. Even if in different ways, they still work together. Lilith in the sixth house often lets you succumb to rational temptations of perfection, correctiveness, and hygiene. On the other hand, also an irrational intuitive attraction shows up. A fight between understanding and feeling could occur here. Perhaps you internally hate all the perfection and such things. You may misjudge the reality frequently and take the liberty to place criticism without the necessary objectivity at the same time, because Virgo likes to criticize. Your psychological understanding is very noticeably, and perhaps you find your healing in helping other people, in healing and in sympathy for others. In partnerships and relationships, it could come to conflict between your thirst for autonomy, which is independence, and an urge to commit yourself to the other. If your public life gets too stressful, you may tend to retreat from it for a while. And that is Lilith in the 6th house and Lilith in Pisces. And now Pisces in the 6th house. Basically, it's a spiritual healer. But they just have to be careful because they sometimes sacrifice themselves. And again, Pisces, well, we already know that, goes to the 12th house. Pisces in the 6th. Alright, this will be Dark Pit Sea Astrology. This is the first time we've gone to this website in this video. Your emotions are directly tied to your work, and if you're doing work that's fulfilling, you feel great. If you're not, it has an impact on your physical health. So make sure he's doing work that he enjoys, otherwise he's going to have health problems. You can do well as an employee rather than a boss, but need to make sure you don't get taken advantage of. That's what I told you, because Pisces sacrifices itself for other people. You worry too much about your work. Watch for health issues with your nervous system, toxicity, and your feet. Just like I told you, watch that circulation. With Pisces here, you can do work that helps others or work with spirituality or the metaphysics. So that was a good interpretation. All right. 6th house, same thing. The Aries aggression. Now to be careful, because this is the house of partnership, law, contracts, relationships. So you gotta watch the aggression of Aries. We already explained the 8th house. So I'm gonna tell you something, because that's weird to me. But it could, if the time you gave me for him is accurate, because his vertex cross is in the Gemini, which we already know he was sent, because I told you it could be a special meeting, a special event, a special breakup, or a soulmate meeting. But this is saying he would have a soulmate meeting with possibly the Gemini energy. Unless the time could be wrong. See, if it was a soulmate meeting with the Taurus energy, it would make more sense, and it will point directly towards you. But with that type of read, if that timing is right and that's right, then it's exactly what I'm saying. He's not here to be longevity with you. He's here to bring you two back together for that second marriage. Because the Gemini energy, the Sagittarius energy, which represents the 9th house, is about the second marriage. Either the couple get back together or somebody you married a second time. But he's telling you right there in his chart, it's Gemini energy in there. Kind of weird. So that's what's going on in that house. Now, because the 9th house is more of a long-term thing, long-distance philosophy, Gemini means that there's going to be a attention problem, and they already talked about it earlier, and I think it's 3rd house. It's possible to have an attention problem with Gemini, because Gemini just wants a basic understanding, and that's it. He doesn't want to go deeper, understand and all that other stuff. He doesn't want to overstand or understand. He has a basic comprehension, and that's all he needs. And the number 6 is the number of love, believe it or not, and it's the Lover's card. And so it's like it could be implying a soulmate connection with either Gemini or a Sagittarius energy. But because we know the rest of this, we already know. And ironically, who he will find himself in a long-term relationship with is a family-minded person in Cancer, maybe somebody involved with younger or teenage education, anybody involved with real estate or property. That is the family sign as well. So anything with family or family-minded. And the moon being there is nurturing as well. Because that's an awesome placement. The moon conjuncting Juno. Moon conjunct Juno. New, the astrologer. And that, I think that was in the 10th house too. It's a career thing. I'm surprised nobody's really talk. It cracks me up the stuff they don't really talk about. I mean, but I thought it would be like, websites. Like they really ain't talking about it. Why aren't you guys talking? But I told you it was a strange, not necessarily strange, but why aren't they talking about it? This is called new.theastrologer.com. Moon conjunct Juno, a heart level reaction. So let's see what this is talking about. Oh man. This is a short but intense transit that just might lead you toward finding that special someone. You're tuned in today to yourself and the world around you. You're in touch with your romantic needs and you're intuitively connected to your environment. If you reach out to someone special today, you'll do so because you'll feel in your heart and your gut that they truly are special and worthy of your time and attention. And it's kind of funny because I just played Listen to Your Heart on my other channel. I played that on one of my videos. Even if you do speak or meet with them, you'll make a great impression. They might even hear wedding bells in their head when they talk with you, because they'll immediately understand that you're serious about finding a wonderful person to build a relationship with. You're in a nurturing mood during this transit, and you'll make that someone special feel worthy by listening to them, making them feel important and special. You're able to communicate without words now and to intuit things you might not ordinarily pick up on. So trust in the universe to bring you the love you're looking for and rely on your gut and your heart to lead you where you want to go. Now, the good news is let's go back. Because that's his 10th house. And we said you might be that person. Because we said it's some type of family business. That's what it means. And you might be that person. And ironically, with Mars there, it kind of makes sense. because Mars rules Aries, and it's in both your 7th houses. But that's what they could be saying. You guys might, cause see, Juno can be married. Juno can also just mean a serious relationship, but it can mean marriage. But you got Mars there. That's what I'm trying to tell you. And so it may last, it may not last, cause you just got things going on, with the Gemini energy, and it really is like they're maybe not literally fighting each other, but universally, energetically wise, they're both fighting each other for that Sagittarius spot. 11th house again is Chiron healing. It's interesting that he should have healing in his 11th house, because that's your true north node. Yep, your 11th house. So it's kind of unique that he would have healing in his 11th house. Okay, so we already explained Virgo in the 12th house, and there's nothing else there that we can actually explain. So I'm going as far as I can possibly go. I can't say you guys are twin flames. I can say there is a connection, but only because of the 1, 2, 3, 4. Only because of the Capricorn energy in your 4th house. Capricorn rules the 10th house, and in your 10th house is Cancer. Only that can I say that might be you in his 10th house with Cancer. But like that's a might. Now I would definitely say soul family connection. Definitely some stuff going on. And I definitely see the Gemini. Like I definitely see him. But in my opinion, again, and that's all I can really give. In my opinion, he's in your life, and you guys might do whatever, but it may be short termed because of that Aries Mars energy. And there is a chance that you're gonna end up back with the Gemini at some point. Because all he's doing is it's just one of them things. It's kind of like you're with somebody and you guys get into it and split up or whatever, and then somebody else comes in your life and maybe you guys are hitting it off or whatever's going on with you two, and maybe even make it down to whatever. But the whole time he's still looking at you like boom, 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 or whatever. And then something happens where you two you separate from that person and break up, allowing this guy to come back or whatever. That's more what I see, more what I look at. Because everything on that chart says it. Like the true north, his true north node says it. Like everything says he's there. And when I say short, in other words, he's not there for the long run. So that's what I got from all of that. So if anyone else wants their readings, again, we do anything that's intuitive because a lot of people ask a lot of questions. We do anything that's intuitive, anything with intuition, card readings, anything with astronomy, astrology, anything like that, anything metaphysical. We also do research. Um, we have some information in the description box. You could always request a service list with the price list. For people that want to get started, it's right in the description box. what link to link on. For anything with a natal chart or numerology, I usually need, for numerology, definitely need the name and the whole name on a birth certificate. If you don't have your time, we can ask archangels. Day, date, year of birth, city and state of birth, country if not the USA. And with that, we can do the natal charts as well. And we have angel card readings. Like I said, we do anything intuitive. Thank you, and God bless.